In today's stories, we're looking at dumb recorded deaths of influencers. From a fitness guru who brought a dust mask to a gas fight to a lifestyle blogger's golden hour photo shoot in a railway, which will cost her everything in the most shocking way possible. It was June 22nd, 2019. On Interstate 5 near Bakersfield, California. The highway cut through the Central Valley under clear afternoon skies, with moderate traffic flowing at typical freeway speeds. Construction warning signs had been posted for several miles, indicating upcoming lane closures and reduced speed limits ahead. Ethan Voss was 31, a tech entrepreneur and lifestyle influencer from San Francisco whose content focused on productivity systems and technology-based efficiency. His videos documented methods he claimed could optimize daily routines through automation and unconventional use of consumer technology. In recent months, his content increasingly featured demonstrations performed in real-world environments rather than controlled settings. That afternoon, Voss was driving a 2017 Tesla Model S northbound on I-5. Dashboard camera footage later recovered showed a resistance band wrapped around the steering wheel with a weighted bag of navel oranges pressed against it. The setup applied continuous torque to the wheel, preventing the vehicle's driver attention system from issuing disengagement warnings. The autopilot system remained active, maintaining lane centering and speed, but requiring human supervision to respond to roadway changes. Voss positioned a dashboard-mounted camera facing the road and began recording while the vehicle traveled at approximately 72 miles per hour. The footage showed the car remaining centered in its lane through gentle curves. After confirming the system remained engaged, Voss climbed from the driver's seat into the back seat while the vehicle continued moving at highway speed. The dashboard camera captured the empty driver's seat as Voss settled into the rear passenger area. Additional filming equipment, including a ring light, a phone mounted on a small tripod, and multiple food containers, surrounded him. The front-facing camera continued recording the roadway without interruption. For several minutes, the footage showed the vehicle maintaining speed and lane position. Construction signage appeared in sequence along the roadway, indicating lane closures ahead at 2 miles, 1 mile, and half a mile. Traffic cones and barrels became visible in the distance as the highway narrowed from 3 lanes to 2. The Tesla remained in the center lane as traffic patterns shifted. The autopilot system continued lane centering, but did not initiate a merge. As the construction zone approached, the center lane ended abruptly, forcing traffic to merge left. Vehicles ahead moved into the remaining lane, but no steering input occurred from inside the Tesla. The dashboard footage showed the vehicle continuing forward as the lane markings disappeared. Orange construction barrels filled the roadway directly ahead. At full highway speed, the Tesla struck the barrels and collided with construction equipment positioned within the closed lane. The impact caused severe front-end damage and brought the vehicle to a stop against a concrete barrier. Emergency responders arrived within minutes after construction workers at the site immediately contacted authorities. Voss was found deceased in the back seat, surrounded by recording equipment and food containers. The dashboard camera footage was recovered intact from the vehicle. The investigation confirmed that the autopilot system had been engaged at the time of the crash and that the steering wheel torque sensor had been bypassed using the resistance band and weighted bag. The report noted that the system was not designed to navigate construction zones or lane-ending scenarios without active driver supervision. The death was ruled accidental, caused by misuse of vehicle automation while recording content. It was March 15, 2016, in Gary, Indiana. An abandoned chemical processing facility, shuttered for 8 years, loomed over the surrounding industrial district with rusted smokestacks and corroded piping. Warning signs in multiple languages marked the site as a hazardous materials zone, while broken fencing and collapsed barriers showed repeated unauthorized entry since its closure. Caleb Hendricks was 22, a fitness influencer from nearby Chicago, whose online content focused on high-intensity workouts filmed in unconventional locations. His videos increasingly featured abandoned or restricted environments that emphasized physical exertion in extreme settings. The chemical facility fit that pattern, offering dramatic visuals and isolation well outside public spaces. The evening was clear and warm at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, with excellent visibility as Hendricks arrived during golden hour, carrying a DJI Phantom 3 drone and basic recording equipment. He had selected the site after researching abandoned industrial locations online, drawn to the visual contrast of corroded machinery and open concrete spaces. Wearing a basic hardware store dust mask, he entered through a gap in the perimeter fencing and moved deeper into the complex. Investigators later confirmed the facility had processed petroleum byproducts and sulfur compounds. Sealed storage tanks and processing chambers still contained residual materials that had slowly decomposed over time, producing hydrogen sulfide gas in enclosed areas with poor ventilation. At lethal concentrations, hydrogen sulfide overwhelms the sense of smell, providing no sensory warning of exposure. The gas is heavier than air and tends to accumulate near the ground. Drone footage showed Hendricks walking through the outer sections of the facility before positioning himself near sealed processing units illuminated by broken windows. He set up his handheld camera on a piece of equipment and began a high-intensity workout that included floor-based exercises near the chambers, where gas accumulation was later confirmed at ground level. The drone remained positioned outside the building near a broken window, capturing exterior angles as a static camera. After several minutes, exterior footage showed Hendricks moving further inside toward areas where ventilation was minimal. The drone's signal began to weaken as structural interference increased. Through the windows, he could still be seen moving before the image became partially obscured. The handheld camera, recovered later, showed continued movement and exertion near the sealed units. Approximately 3 minutes after entering the deeper section, the footage showed Hendricks abruptly stopping mid-movement before collapsing to the concrete floor within seconds. The camera angle shifted as the equipment it rested on was struck during the fall. No recovery movement followed. When the signal dropped completely, the Phantom 3's return to home function activated, landing the drone automatically in the open area where it had launched. Its final footage showed the exterior of the building before the automated landing sequence completed. Emergency responders in full hazmat suits recovered Hendricks' body several hours later after a passerby noticed abandoned drone equipment outside the facility and contacted authorities. The handheld camera was found near his body. Toxicology results confirmed hydrogen sulfide poisoning as the cause of death. Multiple hazmat warning signs were clearly visible in the recovered footage. The investigation concluded that sealed processing chambers had generated lethal gas concentrations in poorly ventilated areas over the years since closure. The death was ruled accidental, resulting from unauthorized entry into a hazardous industrial environment while recording content. It was January 14th, 2016, on Lake Minnetonka, Minnesota. Clear skies and 8 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures masked unstable ice conditions near the shoreline, where pressure ridges and recent temperature shifts had left sections dangerously thin. Blake Carver was 21, a comedy content creator from Minneapolis who enjoyed filming elaborate physical challenges and pranks with his friends. He had been inspired by various internet challenges and wanted to create his own unique version that would showcase both humor and physical endurance. Carver frequently incorporated water-based stunts into his content. The clear morning provided good visibility across the frozen lake, though glare off the ice surface made it difficult to assess conditions accurately. Carver had planned to film his version of the polar bear challenge, but decided to make it more interesting by wearing ankle weights to add difficulty to pulling himself out of the water. He brought a waterproof GoPro camera and ankle weights totaling 15 pounds that he regularly used for pool workouts. Carver had seen ice safety warnings posted around the lake, but proceeded with the stunt despite the posted advisories. His friend Jake remained on shore to record while Carver prepared to begin the stunt. Carver began recording while strapping on the ankle weights, demonstrating the added equipment before entering the water. He secured the weights with their standard Velcro straps, the same way he wore them during his regular pool training sessions. The weights were designed for aquatic fitness and featured standard quick-release closures. Carver selected his entry point based on visual appeal rather than ice safety, choosing an area where broken ice chunks created interesting formations for his background. Multiple warning signs about thin ice were visible in the area, but Carver focused on the dramatic visual elements rather than safety considerations. Jake's shore camera captured the warning signs clearly in the background. Carver jumped into the 28-degree Fahrenheit water with the ankle weights attached. The immediate cold shock caused involuntary gasping and rapid breathing. The underwater GoPro captured several seconds of chaotic footage showing bubbles, fragmented views of his legs, and disoriented movement before the camera angle shifted wildly. The 15 pounds of additional weight pulled him deeper than he had experienced in pool training, and the ice shelf he had planned to grab for support broke away under his weight. The underwater footage became increasingly erratic, capturing brief flashes of his hands near his ankles, the underside of the ice, and streams of bubbles from uncontrolled breathing before settling into a dark, sediment-filled view. Jake remained recording for several seconds before recognizing that Carver had failed to resurface, a delay investigators later described as consistent with prank-style challenge recordings. Jake signaled for assistance from the shoreline while continuing to record. The shore footage showed the broken ice area where Carver had entered, with no movement visible at the surface. Emergency divers recovered Carver's body with the ankle weights still attached to his legs, including one strap that had been partially peeled back. Investigators noted the partial release was consistent with an attempted removal during rapid cold-induced loss of manual dexterity. The underwater footage was largely unusable due to chaotic camera movement and poor visibility, though it showed the initial cold shock response and disoriented movement. Multiple warning signs about thin ice were clearly visible in Jake's shore footage. The investigation report noted that the combination of cold shock response, additional weight, and unstable ice conditions created a situation from which escape was nearly impossible. Cause of death was drowning, with cold shock incapacitation listed as a contributing factor occurring within seconds of immersion. It was October 31st, 2016, in Detroit, Michigan. Light rain slicked the concrete inside a massive abandoned automotive factory as early darkness set in, with poor visibility, unstable flooring, and cold air settling through the exposed structure. Knox Delmar was 24, an urban exploration influencer known for filming abandoned industrial sites and posting high-risk explorations to grow his following. His recent videos increasingly featured isolated, deteriorating structures. For Halloween, Delmar undertook a solo night exploration of the factory while recording continuously. He wore a chest-mounted action camera and carried additional batteries to sustain uninterrupted filming. Delmar entered through a ground-level opening where fencing had collapsed. His footage showed unstable flooring, standing water, and scattered debris as he moved deeper into the building. He climbed toward the upper floors, drawn by darker corridors and more dramatic visuals. In his backpack were dog treats and packaged dog food, items recovered later alongside his recording equipment. Investigation later determined that 3 feral dogs had been sheltering on the 3rd floor for an extended period. The animals used a large enclosed room for warmth and protection, retreating there during bad weather. They avoided people when possible, but the confined space and limited exits made them defensive when approached. As Delmar entered the 3rd floor corridor, his camera captured movement ahead. The dogs were visible near the entrance to their shelter area, alert and tense. One dog stepped forward while the others remained close behind. The animals held their ground rather than fleeing, blocking the narrow passage. Instead of backing away, Delmar slowed and approached. His camera recorded him extending food toward the dogs while continuing forward. The distance between him and the animals closed to only a few feet. The dogs responded with defensive lunges, forcing Delmar to stop abruptly. The first dog rushed him, biting at his lower leg before retreating. As Delmar stumbled backward on the wet concrete, a second dog lunged, knocking him off balance. He fell hard, striking the floor near broken debris. The dogs continued short, defensive attacks, bite, and retreat, focused on keeping him out of their territory rather than pursuing him. The chest-mounted camera captured chaotic movement as Delmar attempted to rise. Blood was visible on the floor, from multiple bite wounds to his legs and arms. His movements became slower as he struggled to stand on the slick surface. After several seconds, the dogs retreated back toward their shelter area, leaving Delmar injured and motionless. Delmar's body was discovered several days later by other urban explorers moving through the upper floors of the building. Emergency services were notified after his damaged camera, and recorded footage were found near the scene. Investigators later determined Delmar died from blood loss and blunt force trauma sustained during the encounter. Animal control removed 3 feral dogs from the building. Recovered footage confirmed Delmar had intentionally approached the animals, despite visible signs of defensive behavior. It was June 3, 2017, in Bakersfield, California. Clear evening skies and golden hour light illuminated an active railway bridge above the Kern River, while calm air and high visibility masked the danger of approaching freight traffic. Ivy Sterling was 19, a lifestyle influencer, building an audience around creative routines, productivity, and photography tips. Her recent content emphasized visually striking environments, often prioritizing dramatic settings over safety or access restrictions. For this shoot, Sterling chose the railway bridge for its symmetry and elevated perspective, presenting the video as a lesson on using dramatic environments to enhance creative work. Sterling accessed the bridge from a dirt service road, stepping past posted warnings identifying the structure as active railway property. She wore a chest-mounted camera and set a second camera on a tripod to record behind-the-scenes footage. Her plan was to film herself explaining lighting choices, composition, and exposure settings while capturing still photos for later posts. She positioned herself between the rails, setting down a small lighting stand and reflector to control shadows created by the bridge's steel beams. Sterling believed she had a short window to work and intended to leave quickly. Freight traffic, she assumed, would be visible or audible long before reaching the bridge. As she recorded, Sterling focused intently on her camera's flip screen, walking viewers through aperture settings and lens choices. She wore earbuds connected to her camera for audio monitoring, concentrating on her narration and framing. Her attention stayed fixed on the equipment in front of her, with only occasional glances at the structure around her. Several minutes into the recording, vibrations began traveling through the rails as a freight train approached from the east. The sound built gradually, masked at first by distance and Sterling's focused attention. The train rounded a curve upstream, its headlight becoming visible in the background of her footage. Sterling continued filming, unaware of how quickly the train was closing the distance. The camera recorded the headlight growing brighter behind her as she adjusted her reflector and stepped closer to the center of the tracks to demonstrate a framing technique. When the vibration intensified, Sterling finally looked up. She turned toward the approaching locomotive and immediately attempted to gather her equipment. In her rush, she dropped one light stand and stumbled on the uneven wooden ties beneath her feet. The narrow bridge offered no safe shoulder or escape route. Sterling attempted to move toward the edge of the bridge, but the train reached her position within seconds. Her camera captured abrupt movement and the sound of wind and metal as the footage cut out. Sterling's body was discovered later by railway workers inspecting the bridge. Her camera was recovered nearby, still containing recorded footage showing her setup, continued filming, and delayed reaction to the approaching train. Investigators determined Sterling died from massive trauma caused by the locomotive impact. The footage confirmed she had remained on active tracks for filming, despite visible warning signs and clear sight lines. The incident was later cited as a fatal example of how content-driven risk-taking and distraction can override basic safety awareness. It was July 22, 2017, in Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming. The Lamar Valley stretched across the landscape under clear morning skies, with temperatures reaching a comfortable 72 degrees Fahrenheit and light breezes providing perfect visibility across the grasslands. A scattered herd of American bison grazed peacefully across the valley floor, their massive forms creating dramatic silhouettes against the mountain backdrop. Zara Blackwood was 25, a travel blogger from Portland who had developed a passion for wildlife photography during her college years. She had been visiting various locations across the western United States, documenting her experiences with nature and wildlife. Blackwood was particularly drawn to large mammals, fascinated by their behavior and eager to capture intimate footage that would showcase their natural beauty and power. The clear morning provided good visibility across the valley. Blackwood carried a GoPro Fusion 360 camera mounted on an extended pole, planning to capture unique footage from multiple angles simultaneously. She had researched Yellowstone's wildlife extensively online, studying bison behavior and movement patterns to better understand their habits. Regulations clearly required visitors to maintain at least 25 yards distance from bison, with multiple brochures and signs explaining that these animals were wild and unpredictable despite their docile appearance. Blackwood had read the safety information, but proceeded beyond the recommended distance limits while recording. Blackwood began recording while approaching a lone bull bison that was grazing approximately 100 yards from the main herd. The bull bison weighed approximately 2,000 pounds and stood nearly 6 feet tall at the shoulder, but remained stationary and grazing prior to the charge. Her 360-degree camera captured her steady approach as she moved closer for increasingly detailed shots. Blackwood moved to within approximately 15 feet of the bull bison, extending her camera pole to capture close-up footage of the animal's head and massive shoulders. The 360 camera recorded continued movement and proximity as the animal remained stationary and continued grazing. She repositioned several times to adjust the camera angle for closer footage. The bull bison's head lifted suddenly. Within 2 seconds, the animal charged. The 360 camera footage became immediately chaotic, capturing rapid spinning motion and fragmented images as Blackwood attempted to flee. The audio captured sudden impact sounds and rapid ground contact as the attack began. The camera pole was struck during the attack, causing the footage to show disjointed angles of ground, sky, and the bison's massive form in rapid succession. The recovered footage showed approximately 4 seconds of violent, shaky imagery before the camera landed face down in the grass, the audio continuing to record sounds of the attack. The camera remained in that position, recording muffled audio and a view of grass and dirt for several minutes before the sounds ceased and the bison's hooves could be heard moving away. Rangers found Blackwood's body minutes later after other tourists reported the incident from a safe distance. The 360 camera was recovered several feet from her body, with the footage showing her approach and the chaotic moments of the attack, though much of the actual impact was obscured by the rapid, uncontrolled movement of the camera. Multiple safety brochures about bison behavior were found in her backpack, indicating she had received proper safety information. The bull bison had returned to the main herd and showed no continued aggression. The investigation report confirmed the cause of death as massive trauma from goring and trampling, with the attack lasting approximately 5 to 7 seconds based on audio analysis and witness accounts. Thanks for watching. If you liked these stories, click here.